Hello and welcome to Solo No More. I'm Catryce Thompson and I will be your host. And let me just tell you, I am so excited to be recording this pilot episode right now because this is a long time coming, not just from the years of me telling myself I wanted to have a podcast, because let me just tell you, for years, I've been telling myself I wanted one. And for years, I told myself I couldn't have one because I didn't have great equipment. I didn't have a podcast manager and I didn't have like an aesthetic background because I am also doing video on top of audio. But like also, let me just tell you, this pilot episode is a week in the making because last week I was like, okay, I'm going to record the episode. And then there was a ton of technical difficulties. And then I got out of the flow and then just could not record a good episode. Those moments where you did like the most perfect take, but like it wasn't recording or something was wrong, that literally was me last week. And it was the absolute worst. But here we are, finally recording. This is going to be the episode. I know it. What you are listening to right now is take one of day two. Actually, no, day three of recording the pilot. And I'm just so happy to have you here. I'm so happy to have you listening. And I'm going to just kind of walk you through in this episode what Solo No More is going to be all about, a little bit about me, just kind of a rundown so you know exactly what to expect in future episodes. To dive into what you can expect from this podcast, one, you can expect that this is going to have minimal editing. So when I mess up my words or whatever, that is going to probably make it into the final cut. I will be using like an AI software to try to get out all the filler words, but let's be honest, we're going to have a lot of buts, ums, ands, likes. They're going to be there. If you can just bear with me, that would be fantastic. I promise that there is amazing information that you'll get out of this. You're going to learn a lot about me and my entrepreneurial journey, but also you're going to learn some tips and tricks on how to scale your business. I'm a small biz support specialist. I own Captured Media PNW, which is a small biz support agency, and we are really focused on helping female CEOs scale their businesses without giving up their nights and weekends. It's all about reclaiming your time. I feel like so often, and I experienced this a lot, is like, when I went full time, full throttle into business, I was like, I'm going to have all this time freedom. I'm going to go on all these trips. I'm going to go out all the time. And then I found myself just like locked in my apartment, just grinding, hustling 24/7, 365. And I was like, this just cannot be how it is. I'm seeing all these girls on Instagram showing all their travels, and I want that. How do I get that? And so I, you know, started building my business. This isn't actually my first business, and in a future episode I'll talk more about my OG business, which was like a life coaching biz. Those were the good old days that I made $0. It was truly like the broke artist life type deal. But that being said, like I started scaling my business, and in turn with scaling came like outsourcing and implementing systems and all these different things. And I realized, these people that we see on Instagram, they look like they're living these amazing, luxurious lives. They're talking about being lazy millionaires and all that, but really, like, there's a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes, and maybe they aren't necessarily doing all the work themselves. And so I now have an agency where we help other female CEOs claim their time, scale their businesses, hit those like 10K months. I know for the longest time, and even now, like 10K months is like such a big milestone. Like when you hit that first 5-figure month, because first when you when we graduate high school and we go into college or the workforce, like we are used to those like maybe $20 an hour like entry level jobs. I think like now I think at McDonald's now you can like get paid like $20 an hour, depending on obviously where you're located. I'm in Seattle. So our minimum wage is actually, I mean, it's not completely livable, but it is pretty high compared to a lot of other places that I know of. But still, like having a 5-figure month in terms of like cash flow and everything, that's like absolutely insane. And I believe that the world will always be a better place with women making more money and building their own empires. So that is what I'm all about. And I'm just so excited for this podcast, because really what pushed me to finally be like, okay, I'm going to actually start this podcast is being like, I feel like I love I love Instagram. I'm an OG like Instagram girly. I mean, like, not OG OG. I really am Gen Z, but I'm a 2000 baby, so I really sit on that funky cusp of like where what really distinguishes like a Gen Z versus the millennial. Like, I have a lot of like the VHS tapes and other like little memories that millennial posts, like the meme posts would be like, you know, you're old when like you see this or whatever. Going on though, I like, what was I saying? So like as an OG like Instagram girly, like that was like my first taste of social media, and I love Instagram. Obviously, we all have like a love-hate relationship with it because of like the algorithm changes, all the things that Meta's doing, like all these new features. Like when we I don't know about you, but when it comes to like posting stories right now and having to relearn the different like story feature buttons in the new configuration they have is god awful. Instagram is a highlight reel. It is extremely curated, and obviously, I have a lot of control over what content is shared in this podcast. But I really want this to be a space where I can kind of just share the highs and lows, and just be able to really pull the curtain back on what it's like to be a female entrepreneur. To be a female entrepreneur in her 20s, I started at 20 years old. I'm now 24, and being able to like navigate that has been really, really interesting. And I am really I went to school for human development. So I have a degree in human development and a minor in psychology, and I was going to be a sex ed teacher. And so I look a lot when I my outward look on life and everything, I look a lot at like development and the different what happens at different age, like at different ages and time frames in life. And it's so interesting to see, you know, my development as like a human being who started her business in her early 20s compared to like my friends. A lot of my friends are in their late 20s, early 30s, even some of them are hitting their mid 30s. And it's really interesting to see like the time frame in which we started our businesses and how that has like really shaped us as people. And it's I think that starting a business in your early 20s is such a roller coaster of a ride, not just because of entrepreneurship, but because of the stage of life you're in. Like there are so many transitions. You're still figuring life out. You're still figuring out who you are. Like there's so many different things. And so Solo No More is really an opportunity for me to impart some wisdom, but also for you to be able to have a companion along this ride as you navigate not only entrepreneurship, but navigate life. I just am so blessed to be able to have this opportunity to be able to take these steps to have this platform, to be able to share with you because, you know, I'm very aware that not everyone gets this, and to be able to work full time and be able to just take some really messy action like this podcast setup right now is quite wild. My perfectionist self is kind of what's the word? My perfectionist self is just not really having it, is kind of icked, um, to say the least. But yeah, I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to have you here, and I'm so excited for future episodes.